will just wait for people to enter. I have no clue how I can just put my photo there on the computer. Whatever. I will just be doing my own thing until. So I just want to go over, I'm finally writing my article that will be coming out eventually. I'm not wanting to speak too much on it right now, but if anyone's here that wants to speak about Mark Lanigan, I'm down to do that. And Dylan. So I don't really know what to say right now, so I'll just wait for somebody to say something. I'll think of something. It's kind of ridiculous when people think that a drug dealer that will steal from someone and beat them up for $20 will not do anything to someone for like millions of dollars. Especially a cop that thinks that's impossible. What the heck? Tom Grant, a failed cop. Who could the killers be, Tom? Not the people that do heroin and are violent and rob people for little bits of money. Hey, Lisa. How much of a stupid police officer do you have to be to not realize that the people doing heroin and ripping people off and being violent so much that are changing their story 30 years later are the people actually involved in killing him? How can that be a far out thing? I think it would be a far out thing if somebody that's random, that has no connection to Kurt and is rich and fancy, if they're getting blamed for killing him. That would be weird. But Mark Lanigan is a self-confessed violent drug addict that has robbed people for way less money than millions of dollars or thousands of dollars at least. So I think it's really ridiculous that Tom Grant doesn't think he has any involvement in it. And I think it's ridiculous. I think he does know, because why would you cover up that photo of Mark Lanigan looking into the vehicle and say it's Dylan? Why even cover up the face at all if you're going to say that's Dylan Carlson? in the photo when it's clearly not. Looks like he just wants to make money, and not in the form of just books and PDFs and movies, but in the form of possibly blackmailing people. Maybe that's a pattern of his. Basically scaring people and not letting the actual truth actually get out. And when Joe says this is it, I mean, Tom would know. He has all those recorded conversations where where Mark's name would definitely be mentioned in them. All those phone calls that he recorded with Courtney Love. If he has over hours and hours of tapes, and I've seen photos, you probably have too, of how many tapes he has. Damn right Mark Lanigan's name would be in there. And he knows he was with Mark Lanigan. Like, what the fuck? I mean, yeah, that was after, but still, how can you not see that those drug addicts were playing him? How many years does it take for someone to realize the obvious? Unless he realizes it, and he just wants money, like he wants money for movies and books and whatever else. Oh, for you to talk to him. He wasn't involved in the murder, but he's an after effect of letting them get away with it. And so we really have to find out who the other individual or two are that have long hair to their chin, because those are the other people that were with Mark Lanigan and Dylan that night. And Danny didn't have hair down to his chin back then. Matthew Ricker believes that Danny was there, though, doing heroin at the house, not doing anything to bring Courtney there. Yeah, Joe, actually, I was on a live stream with Joe and Chris Todd, and I brought up the fact, like, I cried when I heard that Mark Lanigan hit something metal with over Kurt's head, and it seriously dazed Kurt. And then Joe's like, "Oh, is that what I said?" And then Joe's like, "No, I seen him get like smacked in the face with a heroin kit or something else by Mark Lanigan when he was like kind of roughing him up, like being like that." And then Joe said, "What the fuck? What the fuck?" And Kurt said, "Everything's fine. It's okay." And then he went up the stairs with Bonnie, Joe did, and something happened. And then Kurt's brought out of the house unconscious. What Chris did was spike it up. What Joe said about, Kurt being slapped around the face with something. Well, Joe remembers one or two other people. Matthew believes Danny was there just doing heroin at the house. But Danny at the same time did want to get people in trouble, including people that brought his name into it 30 years later. But to joke around and lie when you're literally on your deathbed, holy crap. Like, he was there at the house and everything on the 8th, we know that. Danny. But Matthew thinks he was there prior, too, at the house doing heroin. Yeah, Callie did, but yeah, we know Callie was there, but two other individuals with hair to their chin were there with Mark and Dylan. One or two. Remember, he said Dylan and one or two other individuals. Remember? Yeah, that's what he said in the interview. So that's coming from Joe himself. And we all know that one. I was thinking Erlandson too, but he said no. I was even thinking Renee, and he said, I'm pretty sure I didn't see him. Yeah, and Roddy Bottom, he would have recognized him. And I asked him about Roddy, and he said no. But he does look familiar, is what Joe said about Roddy. It sucks because they probably know who we are, but we have no clue who those other people are, unless it's just one other person. Heck, Joe might not even know the whole thing. There could have been more people outside or something that we have no clue about, that nobody does. Somebody said that Alan Wrench did have long hair back then. But anyone saying that El Duce is there, he was not there. And El Duce did not even have hair. If anything, it would have been Alan Wrench then, if he had long hair. But I can't find any photo of Alan back then. So if there's any truth to El Duce, then it would be Alan Wrench, but we have to find a photo of him. Actually, you know what I'll do for Joe, or if anyone else can? I guess I'm really good at it. I can make a photo of Alan Wrench, and I can just give him long hair. And I can ask Joe, does this look familiar? That's what I'll do. I'll find the oldest photo I can find of Alan Wrench. He said, Alan, I wrote to him back in 2017, and he actually replied, Alan did. And he's like, he said something, the FBI didn't find anything, and you sure won't. And now the greenhouse is gone. Ha ha. Good luck. And I showed it to Tom at that time, and Tom's like, oh, just ignore him. But there could be a lot of seriousness in this, especially since Tom is like, discrediting what Joe's saying about Mark Lanigan and Dylan. That means, there could be definitely something with Alan Wrench as well. Something true about that. I'm going to work on that photo, actually. Oh, yeah, that wasn't Alan Wrench beside Kurt Cobain in the airport. There's photos, that was part of their security. He kind of looks like him, and then somebody, for some reason, blurred his eyes out in the photo to make it look like something. But that guy is known to be part of their security team. He's even in photos with Chris and everyone. And you can find his name, too. It's not Alan Wrench. If that's what you're talking about. I believed it for a long time, too. I'm like, this is him. This is him getting off the airport. That photo wasn't even 1994. It was like late 93. Somebody, I don't know if people are doing it by mistake, but somebody, it seems to be like altering timelines on the photos of Kurt Cobain too. And people are getting them really confused. And so is AI. Imagine how many tapes Courtney has of Kurt, though, at the house, or at least the house before that. She feels like she owns him, but she can't even own herself. She can't even own her own behavior. She can't own up to it. All the A-listers look perfect online until a Netflix documentary breaks out on them that doesn't make them look good anymore. Yeah, it's not him. I used to think when someone covers up, maybe someone did that to mess with us, someone involved in the crime, because when they covered up his face like that with some black bar, it made it look like it was Alan Wrench beside him. Why is somebody doing that if they care about what happened to Kurt Cobain? Why are they caring about putting out misinformation out there? That's not going to help Kurt. That's going to make us look at him and go after him, the Alan Wrench guy, and that guy beside Kurt that wasn't even Alan. Because for a long time we believed that. I did too. Right? Oh yeah. Okay. He made his way into history. Holy shit. Music history. Gosh, I don't know why someone would do that. They wanted to make it look like it was Alan beside him with the cleft chin and everything by blocking out his face. Someone could have done that. Obviously, it would have been on purpose because whoever did that knows it. Unless that was a photo of someone and someone posted it, they didn't want that person's face to be seen because it wasn't Kurt. And then somebody thought that it was Alan Wrench over time. I can ask about the practice sheet. Do you remember, not only was there the practice handwriting sheet online, there was also a checklist from Courtney about getting arrested. And there was like boxes right beside the word and a check mark. Does anyone remember that piece of paper? Because it's totally wiped from the internet now. You can't even find it on any Facebook group now. The photo of the piece of paper of Courtney Love's list of getting arrested, it's totally wiped. I'll ask him right now, just a sec. Second. Does Rosemary Carroll still have Courtney's practice handwriting sheet? Question mark. The alibi? What do you mean? But basically, I'm putting out an article soon in the newspaper, and it's going to be talking all about this stuff. And we're going to put a lot of heat on Mark Lanigan and what he did. You know, not him as a person, but that situation that happened in '94. And we'll see the honest truth, honestly. I see a lot of regret and sorrow in Mark, and that's shown in his lyrics and his book and his voice and just the way he looks sometimes in photos. And I know people might be upset that I'm like empathizing with him, but he's the only one that showed remorse. Dylan has shown none. We're way above the mainstream media. They're caught in like some fantasy land about what happened to Kurt, and that's what they think we're in. It does. Remember in Soaked in Bleach, they matched up the some of her letters, her handwriting to the letter, and it actually fit perfectly. What the hell? It's like we shouldn't even still be talking about it. She should just be in prison. Yeah, that fit perfectly. Any police officer would be like, oh, shit. Like that was too obvious. Why is she still free? Oh, this is not really good. But Dylan Carlson's new wife lives around me in North York. She's probably like really close too. But at least they leave here a lot and go to LA or Seattle or whatever. They can stay there. If I were to see Dylan, I'd just say some words. I'd say Sunday night, 2:30 a.m., Mark Lanigan, which means early Monday morning. I guarantee you he would freeze in his tracks. Yeah, the shell's on the other side of where it should be, obviously. It's on the jacket. It should be near the heroin kit. Didn't really like how he said that, too. There's no obstruction on his right, when there kind of was, the heroin kit and everything, but it's not going to bounce off that and everything. They should have just said that, something like that. I can't believe, though, Tom Grant didn't even call Exodus and realize, oh, Kurt left out the door. He left out the front door. The camera catches him leaving the front door. Tom Grant's putting out stuff that Courtney Love wants people to believe. Regardless of if he knows that or not, that's what he has done. And I hope he doesn't continue to do that. If he keeps talking about this rehab thing and jumping over a wall, then he's full of shit. Right, yeah, the same fucking thing. They think they were smart by setting up where the bullet went. Meanwhile, the way it's being shot, it's not gonna fucking go like that. Like, the certain kind of gun. I remember looking into that. I don't know, Soaked in Bleach didn't even do a good job at all at explaining that. I need to find a photo of the greenhouse wall where I clearly see the A, R, and half of a K from 1994. I realized I was looking at a photo from 1996, so I need to see it when it was more fresh. And the wind or rain is not going to carve an A into wood, not a perfect straight line A. $2:32 a.m. So 2:30 a.m. Sunday night, Mark Lanigan's having his smoke. By 2:32, Kurt's shot and his finger is all blistered and blue. No, because look at his lyrics in his last album and his book. Sunday night, 2:30 a.m. Exactly when Kurt died, early Monday morning is what he means by early Sunday. Sunday night in the a.m., sorry. No, because I don't think Dylan wrote those lyrics and gave it to Mark and Skeleton Joe to perform. It definitely would have been Mark. And they say, oh, we collaborated. Here, you take all the credit for this. Just look at his first album, first song on that album, Living Dead. Your Daddy's Over the Wall. He's only 2 states away. It's all there. Mystery is over after all these years, but it feels like it's not quite over yet. We still need to know who that other person is, or 2 people. They most likely know about this channel, so that's concerning when the police don't do their actual work that they should do. The actual work. Yeah, really guilty. No, and Mark Lanigan was seen smacking Kurt in the face with either the heroin kit or something else. And Joe went upstairs with Bonnie after, and Callie. Maybe Jennifer as well. And before you know it, Kurt's being dragged out of the house. And Joe said to me on video that if they would have let go of Kurt, he would have just dropped to the ground. But yeah, I've been looking at this for hours, day and night, and to actually fucking come across like what he said in his last album and book and connect it and the Unsolved Mystery Tips and that Tracy name from his book. Like, I should be the next El Duce to get killed, I think. Fuck. Was Cooper? That's what I'm going to ask Joe. But I believe so, definitely. And when they were carrying him, the clothing under him, the 3 layers of clothing were kind of like bundled up at the knee. And maybe Kurt put his belt on backwards. He was kind of like whatever with his wardrobe sometimes. He was also on heroin. But you think, because the house was cold, right? And we're always told the house was freezing cold. So he was most likely in his jacket at the moment. They probably lifted up the right sleeve of that jacket as far as they could forcefully. And that's why it looks so messy on his arm. Because if it was just his button-up shirt, it wouldn't... You wouldn't have to fucking go that severely on his arm. Yeah, that's the abrasion in his leg on the right part of his leg. I mean, the lower part. I've looked at other autopsies from crime scenes, and I see that word a lot, abrasion. From other actual homicides, too, that were reported that way. I think that was during the struggle with Mark. There obviously would have been a struggle. I mean, they were already bullying him. That's what Joe's seen. Before he left the basement and went back upstairs. Apparently, there's a report of Valium being in his root beer that Spy Fox got to see. But, I don't know. That Valium could have easily been just from the rehab. Unless there is a report of it being in the root beer, then we need to know that. Yeah, and when the documentary comes out, it's going to be like, Kurt Cobain, born in Aberdeen, Washington, in the year 1967. Well, it's so stupid. We don't need a repeat on everything. We need new information, and that's what I have here with Mark Lanegan, with the Unsolved Mystery Tips in his book and his last album of Skeleton Joe. That's what I have here. And I think that's more important about, than a documentary about Kurt Cobain, which we have fucking plenty of. Let's go back to Aberdeen and through his hometown and see what it's like. Here you go, guys. Thank you for supporting me and giving me money. Oh, wow. You're right. Yeah, the police poured the root beer out, so that means there is no report of Valium being in any root beer. They poured it out. So why would he say there was a report of the root beer having Valium in it if the root beer was actually poured out at the scene? The new information is what's more important. This will eventually get a lot more attention, as it should, rather than some repeated video about Kurt Cobain growing up in Aberdeen and everything else. I mean, we can have Joe on here really soon. I can message him. But for some reason, people that are taking their YouTube channels more seriously in a monetized way, they care about the basic shit over and over again about the Kurt Cobain case. They're not going any deeper with it. And how could you be like, oh, I don't know that Mark Lanigan was there or anything, but he definitely wasn't the killer, and he wasn't there. He's a good guy. And Spy Fox, you've said like you've hanged around with criminals before, and like people that have went to jail that you have apparently. I don't know. You would know that people that are drug addicts could turn against each other. It really is common sense. And if they poured the root beer out at the scene, and Richard Lee has that on film, then why did you say that there was Valium in the root beer in reports? Maybe they didn't pour all of it out. Yeah, they do. And even Courtney knew that. Oh, crap. I've never bet on it. I bet on Ativan, which is like the same thing almost. Yeah, the frozen dinner would have been hard to drug unless Kurt walked away from it. I don't think he was drugged in that sense. He was drugged in a forceful way with the needle. A needle or two. And he probably did have that jacket on at the time because it was freezing cold at that house. They probably forced the sleeve. They probably forced the sleeve up, sorry. Because Kurt would be resisting, right? So they wouldn't have time to be like taking off his jacket, I don't think. So. And I think that's why it looks really messy. And like he was struggling when the final one went in, like way up his arm where it's really bruised. I'm going to look up his autopsy again. I'm going to look at it. Just a sec. Let me actually, just a second. Yeah, I'm going to put the autopsy back into ChatGPT and have it tell me like he was on weed, etc. I know he did. Did Kurt Cobain have THC in his system? Oh, wow, no. So it wasn't reported there. How many times was he injected on the right side of his arm? On his right arm. Oh my gosh. Fuck. The autopsy does not give a specific number of injections on his right arm. Well, let me look at the photo. It looks like the coroner drew 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, maybe 16 needle punctures on his right arm, if you're counting the dots on the photo of the autopsy report. In the autopsy report. How big is the abrasion that is on his right leg? Okay. According to the autopsy report, it's 1.5. So if it was an object, how big would it be? Fuck. Continuing on about Kurt Cobain's autopsy. Oh, just a second. I'm just going to copy this because I have not signed up for it. So, how big is that? Like, compare it to an object. Okay, so the abrasion on his right leg is about the standard small length of a paperclip. And 0.5 pencil eraser. That's quite a big one. Like someone put their foot, like the sole of their foot or shoe against Kurt's right leg and it scraped all the way down. Probably. Or that's from falling. What were the size of the needles in the autopsy report? It does not report a specific size in the needles. The evidence described suggests typical small, thin needles consistent with insulin-type syringes were present. It was right on the front of his right leg at the bottom. I could even see it being from being dragged up the stairs, and maybe they let go of his feet for a second or something, and you know. But from looking at it, everything happened to his right arm. Yeah, looking at the abrasion on his leg, that could have been from just dropping his leg when they were carrying him, and then he bruised or cut open and bruised. Or it could have been from a shoe on him, on his foot. Remember, his pants were scrunched up, his 3 layers of pants. Maybe he was being forced down, and that was part of the struggle. Maybe that's how his pants got like that, not them carrying his legs, or maybe it's a combination of both of those things. I think that's something that's interesting. His pants being bundled up like that. Because he obviously wouldn't walk around with them bundled up like that, right? That would be too uncomfortable. And remember, there's blood on his pant leg. So that means they did have him by the legs like that. That would explain his pants being up like that, as well as probably the struggle in the basement when he was being injected. Now, I don't know why some people want to say El Duce was there when he wasn't. He didn't even have hair. And I say that because Joe said the other person or two people had long hair down to their chin. Let's see if I can find where Alan Wrench said that.
And here's the greatest thing. I'll never be tried or convicted for the murders of Kurt Cobain or El Duce. Never.
Studio's worth 50 grand. Ducci was offered 50 grand. What's with the 50 grand?
It's probably one of those numbers that just comes up a lot. You know, like when you play craps, 7 keeps coming up. With rock, 50 grand keeps coming up for some reason. The trick is, as with killing people, don't get caught.
Didn't Mark Lanigan get the 50 grand? I'm pretty sure it was 50 or 30 grand in his autobiography he wrote about it by Courtney. That she paid for rehab, which is obviously she gave that much to Callie for rehab too. For what, 3 days? That's a bullshit excuse just to give them money.
No, it's a nice little assassination.
Yeah.
Perfect assassination looks like suicide. Cops will do suicide.
But do you think it looked like suicide? Do you think it really added up to suicide? Because it seemed physically impossible for him to put away his heroin kit and shot himself in the mouth with him.
Wait, maybe people are saying Alan Wrench had long hair at that time because they think that photo of him, apparently him, that's not him, that signature collecting guy, maybe they think that that guy with that long hair is Alan, so that's why they're saying that.
He probably had a pretty high tolerance. Plus, if you had him a little bit incapacitated just so his heart's pumping, you can pump a little bit of heroin into him.
Okay, that's revealing. If you get him a little bit incapacitated, well, I can't even say the word. That means
if you had him a little bit incapacitated just so his heart's pumping, you can pump a little bit of heroin into him.
Well, they could do that by restraining him. And this is where he talks about the necks on Kurt, the marks on Kurt's neck.
That big of a deal.
But if his heart's pumping, isn't that going to send the heroin through the system a lot faster and act?
Yeah, the Valium too, I was thinking. But that could have been from the rehab, most likely.
So you kill him a lot faster?
No, I don't think so. As long as he's in there, that's all you need. The guy fucking shoots up, gets a little depressed, sticks a shotgun in his mouth. Hey. As long as shotgun blast removes part of the neck, so any kind of marks on his neck put on there by someone else.
Yeah, right there he says it. Oh, Matthew wrote back about the Rosemary Carroll still having the practice sheet. He wrote, "I'm not convinced she ever did." but according to Tom, she handed everything over to him. Wow, so Tom has it. And that means that he would also have the checklist that she wrote about having to get arrested. Why are you withholding that stuff? So yeah, he said to cover up marks on his neck. Just a sec.
As long as shotgun blast removes part of the neck, so any kind of marks on his neck put on there by someone else. as long as those are erased, looks like a nice little clean suicide.
Maybe he's saying that because he knows, whoever knows and seen the photo, they know he's telling the truth. And yeah, Tom would have that paper too if he is telling the truth. If you want to come on my live stream, you can. I'll give you the link. One sec. Matthew, I am inviting Matthew to come on. I don't know if he'll join. Let's see. Go back to Alan.
So Courtney Love's involved in his death?
I would have to
by assisted suicide or having him killed?
I would have to say that I have no comment on that.
Yeah, from strangulation. So, I believe Slayer did put a photo of Kurt Cobain's face in an album, 1994, Divine Intervention. People say it's from a medical book. I've looked it up. There's no medical book with it. I've also put it into ChatGPT, and it says a lot of the stuff around his head to the left and this vest on him has been digitally altered and edited in afterwards to make it look a little different. I can't show that here, but that's that. And you can see around the album too, like everything else is edited. And that's Divine Intervention, 1994. Whoever's saying it's from a medical book is wrong.
We'll have to see. We'll have to see what she says when we put that way.
Opinion, brother. Hypothesis. There's no incriminating.
My opinion is that she's a very talented and intelligent person, and probably would never say anything that would get her into trouble. That's what I would say about Courtney Love on the Cobain thing.
Yeah, well, she's already done that. Tom Grant, Courtney Love recorded call. So I'll play part 2 because it's easier to hear. And I'm going to pause in between this if we can hear it.
The thing about Kurt is he can't get a cab for himself.
Yeah, we were both a little surprised when you said, you canceled his credit card, so he's without money. It's just,
Again, she did that to lure him home. There were other credit cards and everything, and maybe Kurt stopped one of those or whatever, but Courtney did it this time on Sunday.
Can't figure out how to get money if he doesn't have his credit cards.
No.
He doesn't have his own bank account.
No, we have the same bank account.
Yeah.
And I canceled the Excel card. Maybe I shouldn't have done that so I could have kept track of it. When this happened in Italy,
Yeah, because it's like, where is he? He's around Seattle now. Where the fuck is he? Like, I just knew he was at home. Callie told me. But now I can't find him. Now I'm going to cancel the cards. Maybe he'll come back home. Now I'll call Tom Grant. Remember, this is Sunday, April 3rd. Then Tom Grant starts to think that something is up. So, realizing that Kurt was not killed, and then she called Tom Grant. Kurt was missing when she called Tom Grant. but she didn't want him to exactly find him or let Kurt know that he was being looked for, searched for. Then, when he did return back home, that's where it all went down in the early AM of Monday. And then around 4 a.m., actually 4 a.m., thanks to Bloomer, I know that, is when she called in the missing person report, because then she knew that Kurt was dead. She didn't call Tom's knowing that Kurt was dead. She called in the missing person report knowing that Kurt was dead. Now it's time to play innocent, like a little princess, and set it up. He killed himself. He got a gun. He left rehab. He got a gun. And he's probably looking for drugs. They set it up right then, after he was already dead. In the early morning hours of Monday, April 4th. He was killed just hours prior. She didn't even wait that long to fucking do that shit. Most people wait longer, but since she couldn't find him before, I guess she could play it up right then, right away. I think it would have been Dylan that got the newer shells, since we know he's really involved with Mark Lanigan, and he's the one that was buying all that stuff. He could have even had old shells in his own home with an old receipt. And that does look like an old receipt. It was very faded. That's probably what it was.
Yeah, so fucked up that, I found a suicide note. So nobody knows this. I mean, obviously people,
Well, whatever.
but I fell asleep, I was real tired, and he got really depressed.
Yeah, we don't need to go over it. We need to look more into Mark Lanigan now that we know. And I've been making all these connections with other people about his involvement. Just need to keep looking into that. Finding more new things. I have a PDF of his poetry. I want to find it. Let's see. I'm going through it right now. There's this from his book. I don't know. Tonight they hang Jack, and when this fevered dream has ended, I'll never come this way again. And if I smell the perfume of your blood, I know it's just the incense of my drug. The killing season, it's beginning. Skeletal hands are on my throat. Someone will lose somebody's winnings. I wear my old gray overcoat. That's one of Mark Lanigan's poems. I am the wolf without a pack, banished so long ago. I've survived on another's kill and on my own shadow home. All I've learned is that poison will sting. No one remembers the names of martyrs or kings. No one remembers much of anything that came this way before. I am the wolf combing the beach, too hungry to shy away. The carcass of a leviathan sways gently on the waves. I hope this shelter is enough to keep me warm. Upstairs, the heavens giving birth to the winter storm. But I've been dying since the day I was born. That much I know is true. Let's see what else there is. This is again from Mark Lanigan's book, his poetry. The wild people. My sin is done and it won't be forgiven. I'm gone, I'm gone. I'm going where the wild people living. Gone where the wild people are living. So long alone, close to the bone. They kill the messenger. They kill the tax man waiting in line. They kill the passenger where the train and taxi collide. A holiday has come. My mind has escaped into hiding. I've shot away my life out where the wild people are riding. So long alone, close to the bone. Please don't kill the messenger man. Mama, please don't kill the passenger man. Saturday, I'm sick. I'm sick with a virus descending. Burn Sunday to the quick with a match on a mile-long stick. My sin is done and it won't be forgotten. Let's see. Again, Mark Lanigan's poems I am reading through. Let's see. Wild thing, see the monkey in the jungle swing. That the devil lives in anything. Come on, people. You know that I ain't got the wherewithal. When California starts to crawl, makes a poor man leave his home. If I cry for you, let's see. Holding a loaded gun, I can see her there under the golden sun. See the man up on gallows swing. See the creature walking through the weeds in a garden grown from evil seeds. Let's see. Yeah. I'm going to go over some more things. Just a second.
Yeah, but my hearing is terrible as well, so I have a double whammy.
Yeah, but your voice, it's what made you who you are.
Well, I'll tell you what, I appreciate Tom Waits for everything he's done that I've said no to.
Wait a second.
chance I get to come here, I come here on vacation. That's how much I like it. So,
I guess you're gonna, whoever's still here. Yeah, that was like her first performance. I'm gonna go over Joe's interview.
With my girlfriend Bonnie Dillard, Callie DeWitt, other characters that showed up, Dylan Carlson, and 3 or 4 other.
3 or 4. So Dylan and Mark. And then 2 or 3 other people. Oh shit. That's a lot more than we thought.
People, and here's basically what happened. Me, Callie DeWitt, Jennifer Anderson, and Bonnie Dillard were there for multiple days, hanging out, listening to records. I was doing tattoo work on Callie DeWitt, and just basically having a good time. And then after being there for a few days, I went to the kitchen to grab something, and Kurt was there.
And that is on Saturday, the 2nd, 1994, April.
We talked a little bit, and he explained what was going on, that he had left his treatment place in California. He had been hiding out. I say hiding out because he's trying to avoid his wife, Courtney Love, from her or basically people she had hired to find him.
And that's exactly what she did to Isaiah Silva as well. Courtney wasn't there. She made sure not to be there. I can't play that whole thing. And yeah, she sent people to find Kurt and to do that. She ordered them to. They listened to her. And she's good at manipulating people too. I mean, Mark probably believed that Kurt jumped over the wall at rehab because Courtney made it up after she heard it from Gibby at the rehab. Even lying to the killers. I would have been paranoid too if she came to my apartment and I was Mark, years later. I want to go over these unsolved mystery tips. I mean, someone's saying in the tips that the night Kurt died, right before, that Courtney Love walked in all drunk. But that could have just been a lie, obviously. Let's go, just a second. Let's see what Billy, Yeah, let's see what Billy Corgan says about Soaked in Bleach. Know this, there were mean messages on Kurt's voicemail at his home by Billy Corgan when he got back from rehab. And Courtney purposely pissed him off with a magazine and a letter about Billy. So here we
The whole
go.
Nirvana scene is a very strange scene. You know, whenever the main guy commits suicide in this oddly conspiratorial way. Did you watch that fucked up movie?
Because a lot of people don't know, but I was like sort of around for a lot of that stuff. So I know a lot of stuff that I've never sort of talked about.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, watching that stuff is like, it's replaying something I don't want to replay. And B, I know a lot of the stuff is not based on fact because I was around for a lot of it.
Right.
And no one's ever talked to me about it. So people try to pimp me out like in a Q&A with fans and ask me questions like I'm suddenly going to talk about it. It's
right.
like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that documentary was so strange. It's like, how does someone get away with that? Like the recreations. Like if you weren't there, you don't know what the fuck they said. So if you don't know what the fuck they said and you're putting words in these actors' mouths and having them play it out, like what?
Well, he knew what Dylan was saying because Tom Grant was with Dylan. They hired actors to say what they were saying back then. All right. I guess it's just cool to disagree.
This should be illegal. Like, because you're kind of, you know what I'm saying? It's like you're creating it.
It's not illegal. If Tom Grant recorded his conversations with Dylan, which he did, and then years later got actors to play out what they said, that's not illegal. Anyway.
And in convincing the world that it was suicide was the plane was in a state of the so-called Rome suicide attempt.
And the missing person report.
Plausibly be cobbled together.
You think that is?
I think someone went through his notebooks, found passages that could plausibly be cobbled together to suicide, and traced them.
You were traced.
Yeah. Or forged or something like that.
Well,
are you taping this call?
I tape all my calls.
Oh, shit. Tom?
Do you want me to turn it off?
Yeah, I mean, I just... really freaked out by your letter.
She ought to say that in public. She ought to say that I'm lying about that if she really believes that. Then sit back and watch me prove that she did say it. It's real easy to say it behind closed doors, but she ought to go public and say that. Sooner or later, she's going to be forced to.
Yeah, Tom Grant, totally. I looked into it way too deep before, and I was being told things by people that were lying. He was hired before Kurt was killed, but because Courtney really couldn't find Kurt, she canceled the cards. He came back home. He was attacked there by other individuals. And then, just about 2 hours later, Courtney calls in the missing person report to set it up as Kurt committed suicide when they find his body. And tried to get his body found before the 8th, too, but it didn't work out.
Anyway, okay, I will, I just put you a conference on your phone, and I'll let you get back.
You've promised me things before, and it didn't come through. Almost immediately after Kurt Cobain's death was announced in the media, this phenomenon of copycat suicides began. Kids started killing themselves.
And that's a big reason why I'm right here awake right now doing this.
Still have the note from Seattle.
Yeah.
The one that I got a copy of.
Yeah.
You got that?
It's a 50 pound box. It's on Red Pen, and it's on an IHOP. Because I went to the IHOP.
That would help too to be analyzed. We could determine whether Kurt wrote that whole thing.
The fact that the handwriting looks to my untrained eye
different at the bottom of that note than it does during the body. It certainly does suggest that putting that note understand.
Examine that in comparison to the suicide note. Lines of the note.
Sorry, I'm just going to skip through this to certain points. This is a good point, how she wanted Dylan drugged after the murder.
A lot of questions I have for Dylan and Callie, especially Callie, who spent more time here at the house than anybody last week.
Callie is, he just left for rehab. He's in El Paso.
Oh yeah, she gave Callie about 25 grand or 30 grand to go to rehab for 3 days. And after 3 days, he was suddenly clean and sober and doing great for the rest of his life. Bullshit. He just got the money, and that was an excuse to give it to him.
Georgia, I think. No. He's in LA with friends. And, I'll get Dylan over here.
After probably a half an hour or so, I walked out and I asked, is Dylan here yet? I haven't seen him. And I just assumed that somebody would let me know when he showed up. They said, yeah, he's upstairs with Courtney, which I thought was strange. He was supposed to be coming to the house to talk to me, not go upstairs and do a pre-interview with Courtney.
So you said it yourself, Tom. You should watch Soaked in Bleach yourself again and be like, hey, yeah, that's weird about Dylan. Maybe Tom is just old and he can't remember this stuff. He doesn't think back to it.
So there's just been a couple things that have been eating at me in the last few weeks, and I wanted to sit here and I wanted to talk to you about them. Did you just shoot up? Did you just shoot up? What? Yes. Why did you do that? I told you I was coming up here. I told you we had to have this conversation. Dylan. I told you we had to have this conversation. I'm ready. You're ready? You're not ready.
I felt, why would Courtney do this? She knew I had some serious questions to ask him, and she's sending him down to me in a drugged state of mind where he could hardly talk.
Remember that, Tom. Now that you know what Joe is saying.
Did you check the front door or the back door? Did you check the front door or the back door? Yeah. Which door? Both. Both doors. Did you check the side door? You didn't go to the side door. I don't remember. You don't remember. Did you go to the greenhouse? No. You didn't go to the greenhouse.
Why is he asking you that stuff? If Dylan only went with Tom on Thursday, on the 7th of April, well, he would have known that Dylan checked this and that. Let's go over that again. Can anybody comment what they think about that?
Did you check the front door or the back door? Yeah. Which door? Both. Both doors. Did you check the side door? You didn't go to the side door. I don't remember. You don't remember. Did you go to the greenhouse? No. You didn't go to the greenhouse.
So why is Tom questioning Dylan in Soaked in Bleach about where he went around the house? If Tom went with Dylan on April 7th, on Thursday, and he would have known everything Dylan was doing. Maybe he's talking about that 5 or 10 minutes where he didn't come back. It wasn't Tom driving them around. Apparently, Courtney got a ticket for Tom on the 3rd, but I don't think he left until a while later. I don't think it was Tom that brought them there that night that Kurt was killed. That would have just been April 7th, Thursday, probably the first time they went there to the house, when Dylan just walked up, and then he came back a while later. That would have been just Dylan probably talking with people in the house and being like, this is what's going on. Okay, I'm going to go back out.
Dylan, I want to talk about the greenhouse. Dylan.
Dylan was a heroin addict, and he needed a source for heroin. Once Kurt Cobain was dead, his source became Courtney Love. His loyalty became Courtney Love.
Why are you hinting so much at Dylan, but now you say Dylan and Mark Lanigan are innocent? Because they're drug addicts that were fooling with you on April 7th, 1994? And afterwards?
He was very dependent on her. We've since learned that she paid his rent for many, many years, supplied the money for his heroin, and almost everybody around Kurt, they were dependent on Courtney. They were dependent on Courtney's money.
Right. How can you just discredit it right away? When he put out like work like this, he did work with people that really points to Dylan being that.
It's a waste of time. Waste of time.
I felt it was my duty to notify my client that I was starting to dig into something. And
He's got in my heart. I know he does.
Yeah.
You know he does.
Sure.
You know, and I don't know what the hell it is. I think he might have hit the gunshot, is what I think. If you're saying the third, I think he might have hit the gunshot.
Tom Grant was saying the third about when he died, but it was actually, as we know, early Monday morning.
I think
The third was just over. Like,
Terrified.
I think he knew Kurt was dead. You know, I'm almost positive he knew Kurt was dead before it came out, before the electrician found him. And that's what I want to clarify.
I hope so, but he didn't see it. I think he might have hit the gunshot, is what I'm thinking. But that's what my gut instinct tells me.
Here's all you have to do to bring this to a quick end and solve all of your problems.
If I have a copy of the coroner's report, and if Callie comes down for a polygraph, this thing will be brought to a real quick end.
I can try. I mean, he likes me.
Well, it's up to you.
and we know he didn't. He did, and Tom took a photo of him, but nothing really came out of that, or the many phone calls that Tom still has. So I heard that Tom Grant, and I know this because he told me, his sister was recently murdered and her apartment or home was set on fire. Apparently, the Kurt Cobain case tapes, all the recorded phone calls of Courtney Love and everyone were in his sister's house when she was murdered and when it was set on fire. I could be wrong about the tapes being there, but I did hear that somewhere.
You're the one that can do it. Nobody else can. I'm saying
You know me, and I don't believe that.
I said either the third or early Monday morning, which would be the 4th.
See, right there. He's right on that. Sunday morning in the AM, 2:30, 2:32. So 2:30 marks smoking a cigarette in the song and at the crime scene. And then by 2:32, he shot Kurt in the hard palate of his mouth and his finger is all blistered and blue, his trigger finger. And that was early Monday morning. That's what Sunday in the AM means. He's being kind of cryptic with it.
I don't believe anybody actually saw him after 7:30 Monday morning. And I believe that anybody that says they did is lying.
And nobody's seen him at 7:30 in the morning on Monday. Courtney called in the missing person report at 4 a.m. on Monday, because Kurt was already dead, and she wanted to put out the suicide narrative even more right then, in a more public way. And that's what did it. That's why she even faked that it was Kurt's mother that reported it. So I take it back that Kurt was killed, and then Tom Grant was called. Tom Grant was called because Courtney really couldn't find Kurt. At first, she knew Kurt was at the home because Callie told her over the phone when he left rehab. But then he went out again somewhere in Seattle. She couldn't find him, canceled the cards. Kurt comes back home. And that's where everything goes down. And that was April 3rd, the same day she calls Tom, but this is before he's dead. And after he's dead, early Monday morning on the 4th, 4 a.m., she then calls in the missing person report. Right, and that was on Saturday, so those totally line up. Or if that was Sunday, it still lines up. But I'm pretty sure, yeah, that was Saturday. They might even say it was Monday. If they're saying it's Monday, they're wrong, unless it was like around 1 in the morning, 2 in the morning, and then Kurt went back home and that's when it happened, then that's correct. That makes sense. The Piano, 1994. My friend Mike was in a movie, Fly Away Home, with the same girl actress in that movie. Apparently that was the movie that he was going to see. I think we should all watch The Piano. It's on YouTube. We should watch it on April 4th. Okay, just a second. We're going to go into the amount of drugs that were forced into Kurt.
Side.
Source.
Created a heroin. The toxicology report from Kurt Cobain's autopsy indicated a heroin blood level of 1.52 milligrams per liter.
5 milligrams will produce a level of...
Sorry, I got to interrupt us. If it was Monday in the AM that he was going to see the piano or whatever and couldn't, then it makes sense that he would have went back home after that. And that's when everything happened, as soon as he was back home.
0.035 milligrams.
Most users, even heavy users, only use up to 40 to 60 milligrams in one hit.
So you can see, to reach 1.52 milligrams per liter, you're talking about an amount that would have certainly have exceeded 200 milligrams that were injected into Kurt Cobain.
3 times the amount that would be considered lethal. I think very legitimate questions have been raised about the level of heroin.
We have not in 18 years found a single case where somebody could have the level of heroin in their body that Kurt did and still remain conscious.
70 times the lethal dose for the average person, triple the lethal dose even for the most severe heroin addicts. It would have incapacitated him. He would have been unconscious. And then roll down their sleeves, put away the heroin kit, pick up the shotgun, position.
Yeah, and Kurt's definitely not going to inject himself with heroin when he still has his sleeves down or his jacket on, too.
Backwards and pull the trigger.
That deals with coordinator functions. How about the emotional aspects of this? Why would he?
No, he wouldn't. So there's videos where Kurt talked about killing himself that way. But I believe Courtney heard those things and he would have said that around her. And just like she used everything else against him, she would be gaslighting him over that too. That's what narcissists do. And we really know that now with the age of information. There's a whole lot of YouTube channels that expose narcissism.
We were curious to see if there had been any evidence of Kurt being there. We got about halfway there when we stopped to get gas and Dylan made another phone call.
Telling Tom that he's been found because Courtney told him, finally the body has been found. At that him and Lanigan placed there. Yeah, and Kurt wasn't even suicidal. He wouldn't have done that. They're missing that point. Kurt wanted to get on with his life and get away from Courtney. So everything he wanted, Francis, the money, his car, all that was taken away from him and given to other people. They really stole everything from him, including his life, everything in it. What do you think, though? I think this is really dangerous since El Duce died, and if Alan has any involvement, if that's true, then we're more close to the truth now. So what do you think Courtney's going to do now that all this information is out there? Probably just misinformation like she's doing. I hope she just sticks to that. But even that we can defeat.
You said that you didn't want Kurt. We located a motel.
Okay,
hadn't had any success.
Out, you know, he's not going to be at the house. He likes to stay in hotels, you know, fancy hotels downtown.
Hadn't had any success with the really nice hotels in Seattle. We began calling some of the others the smaller motels, and we located a motel. And
okay, so this is Thursday, April 7th, and he's going around with Dylan. And the reason why Courtney is sending him to fancy hotels where Kurt does not go is because now Kurt is dead at this time. So we can't confuse when she called Tom and hired him, because he wasn't dead then. She was trying to find him. And Tom got other people like Ernie Barth to do that. But then on Thursday, he's doing this with Dylan and looking at fancy hotels because Courtney and Dylan already know that Kurt is dead, but they're stalling. Probably preparing the crime scene more, of course.
there was a Bill Bailey registered there.
I want someone of our guys over there to see if it's Kurt.
No. I don't want Kurt to know that I'm looking for him.
And I think that was the motel where Renee and them were staying. They could have still been booked in there. I could be wrong. They could have went that night when they still had the credit card available. That doesn't add up, actually.
Send somebody over there. Just have them watch the hotel, okay?
Okay. I don't know, 15 or 20 minutes went by.
What do you mean you called the hotel? I thought that you said that you didn't want Kurt.
No, Tom.
Okay. Listen, if he's not there, then I think we need to set up a team at the Lake Washington house.
Yeah,
Oh my. Okay, now we're back, because this movie goes to this date and then that date and doesn't say it. Now we're back to April 3rd. And now he's going to set people up. So she was trying to find him. She called the hotel thinking that he was there. Maybe he was. Maybe that is why the $160-something, maybe that was for that. But when she canceled it and he tried to do more things and he went back home and she knew he was there, that's when they really moved in really quick. That's why it was all rush when Dylan and Mark came in trying to really just get him.
Waste of time, Tom. You know what? He's not going to be
No, we're
there.
sneaking around.
You don't want surveillance on your house?
Yes, because we don't need it.
Yes, because if Kurt comes back there after I canceled his cards today, which would have been April 3rd, Sunday at this point, she doesn't want cameras there. Because then you're going to see Mark and Dylan and 2 or 3 other people. And other people that were at the house, like Joe and Bonnie and Jennifer and Jessica and Callie.
Allie's there. He'll tell me if Kurt shows up.
In the day, in a conversation, Courtney told me she didn't trust Callie. She said he's one of the best liars she's ever met. But now, all of a sudden, she tells me he won't kill her.
I'm not as effective for you here as I would be up there. I'd like to move the entire search up to Seattle. I know I got guys on the ground there, local guys.
And this is when he's in the motel room talking to her, and he's about to go down there with Dylan. And they're about to check out Fancy Hotels now. Not the real one where Kurt would have been staying with the Bill Bailey alias. If he was, that's probably most likely him, obviously. But when the cards were canceled, he did the wrong thing, I guess, by going home. If he was at a motel or hotel, if he wasn't just, he was out during the day, that's what Joe said. And knowing that he didn't die Sunday morning, it could have been that he was out Sunday morning, and then he returned early Monday.
Knowing if I were there, I could move him along.
It's fine. You can go.
That's great. That's great.
Why don't you go up there, Courtney? Because I can't. I have
You don't want people to say you were there.
business to take care of here.
All right, well, look, I'd appreciate it if you didn't tell anyone I was traveling up there. I mean, if anyone knows, they might tell Kurt, and then he could flee.
Absolutely. I think it's a really good idea.
Kurt is already dead at this point. Sure, go ahead. Whatever. Play with Tom. Yeah, try to find him. Yeah, don't tell anybody. She already had it done. On April 4th, in the early AM, around 2 a.m., 2:32, the gunshot going off. We know that because of Mark Lanigan's last album with Skeleton Joe and everything else that goes in line with it, like the Unsolved Mystery Tips and his book.
Okay. I'm gonna get going.
Save the American icon, Tom.
That's sarcasm from Courtney because she already knows Kurt's dead. Hey, Chris. I'm glad you have this time.
As I was getting ready to fly to Seattle, Courtney told me about Dylan Carlson. Dylan knew all the hangouts. He knew the house really well. Kurt's best friend was Dylan Carlson.
So what are you thinking? Is he?
To correct that, one of Kurt's closest friends was Dylan Carlson, and he wasn't even actually a friend. He was someone tagging along and using Kurt, and, well, he had good sides of him that Kurt would have seen, but ultimately he was not a really good person. Still isn't.
Is he suicidal?
No, not at all. He's been under a lot of pressure, but he's been handling things pretty good.
Yeah, he's not suicidal at all at this point when Tom is talking to Dylan in a restaurant on Thursday, April 7th, because Kurt is already dead. He's already in the greenhouse. Maybe when Tom went there the first time with Dylan and Dylan went up for like 10 minutes or so, maybe he was checking on Kurt in the greenhouse because he knew Kurt's body was there at that point.
I mean, I know he and Courtney have been having a lot of troubles lately, but I don't know why Kurt married her.
They don't get along. They don't agree about anything. They're always fighting, that type of thing.
This thing in Rome. Did anybody say that may have been him trying to kill himself?
No, there was an accident. Everybody knows that.
I asked him several times about whether Kurt was suicidal or not, and it was almost a joke to him. You know, it was like, no, of course not.
Because I'm thinking, if he was a suicide...
Right there, it was almost like a joke to him. Yeah, because he knew Kurt was dead, Tom. He knew Kurt was dead, and that his body was in the greenhouse. And so did his friend Mark Lanigan that was with you at this point too. Because, I mean, why isn't Mark Lanigan in this scene with Dylan Carlson and Tom? Because the only day Tom was searching is April 7th at the house, right? He got there on the 6th, but on the 7th is when they did the search. And then on the 8th. So let me think about that. That could have just been on the 8th. When that recording was taking place with Mark and Tom and Dylan in the house. No weird conspiracy about that, except for Mark and Dylan, beside Tom, not letting him know that they already know Kurt's dead in the greenhouse. And has been since Monday morning.
Suicidal. If she says he is, why would she let him buy a shotgun?
He's not suicidal. He bought that shotgun the day he went to rehab.
Yeah, it's just going to be audio only for now. Later, I will put everything on camera again.
Burglary of the house recently.
This way, too, I can't really play this like this because I'll just get copyrighted right away.
The police had just confiscated his other gun, so I registered it in my name. Trust me, if he was suicidal, I would never let him get a shotgun.
Singer Courtney Love says Cobain had first written a suicide note to her, which said, in part, "It's not fun for me anymore. I can't live this life."
There was a mythology that, oh yeah, everybody knew he was suicidal. That was just. People thinking.
So let's go back to when Tom was there with Dylan.
Suicide note was found.
So this is April 7th again. Kurt's already dead in the greenhouse, and Dylan knows that. I guess they did the search with Mark Lanigan the next day. No, he wasn't in the house on the 8th. He was in the house on the 7th, remember? And he walked up to the officer or whatever and said, "I was in the house the day before." So that means he was there with Mark Lanigan that night and everything, with Dylan in the restaurant. That was that night. He purposely left out Mark Lanigan, the actual fucking killer. So that's weird. Let's continue with this. So just remember right now, this is Tom with Dylan and Mark, which they left out of Soaked in Bleach, on April 7th, 1994, Thursday.
I'm sure he's not in there.
I know.
Right, and if he suspects that Courtney's involved in killing Kurt, then the gun, Dylan, hello.
For at least 5 minutes. If he's there, he would have answered.
All right. I just don't want to end up on the wrong end of a shotgun.
So Dylan and him probably walked up to the place for 10 minutes saying, "Is everything okay? Everything's good in here. Everything's set. Everything's clean." And then remember, as Dylan's walking in with Tom right then, he's like, "I've never seen it this clean before." That's exactly what they're doing. Panicking, but at the same time trying to keep everything calm and collective. Right. Courtney knew Dylan also had guns and was shooting them all the time. But then again, Harvey's account of Kurt having the gun, well, saying that he bought a gun and leaving the shells.
Let's go. Here we go. Careful.
Call out while you're
Obviously, that fake call from Dylan right there. He knows Kurt's already dead in the greenhouse. Let's listen to that again. Kurt was dead in the greenhouse since early Monday morning, around 2 a.m.
Kurt, hello, Kurt. You know, make a lot of noise. Kurt!
And this is Thursday.
Statue or something in here.
If we find it, we're gonna have to take it, right?
Yeah. Which I can legally do since I bought it.
He's already lying about the gun, Dylan is. He knows it's in the greenhouse, laying on Kurt.
It's in my name, so.
Here, could it be under the bed?
Might be.
It's really weird, though, that the killers that used the gun, that it's also registered in one of their names. But that can just be boiled down to the fact that Kurt was still trusting Dylan. And Dylan was two-faced, and he shouldn't have been trusting Dylan at all. He turned against him. For Courtney, and for the money, and for heroin.
Oh, all right, let's roll this. All right, what is this? That's Matthew to you?
Oh, heck no. That's where they are. He kept saying someone stole them, but they've been sitting there. These are what he OD'd on in Rome.
Well, she wants to take those.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. Would she be okay if you keep them?
Yeah.
Are those illegal if we get stopped?
No.
They're not?
No, they're prescription. They're over the counter in England.
Are they legal here?
Yeah, they're.
His actual voice there and the actual audio sounds really shaky, like he's a ghost, kind of. Just like Joe described after the murder happened.
They're illegal. They're like.
What are they used for?
They're sold as a sedative for sleeping ailments, and sometimes they're given to people.
And if we get pulled over, you're not going to get arrested for having those?
No, they're fine.
Wow.
All right, well, it's obviously not here, the shotgun.
No. I don't know where it would be.
You know where it is. You've known where it was since Monday, April 4th at 2 a.m. in the morning. 2:32 specifically, you knew where the gun was, laying on Kurt Cobain, where he was laying dead in the greenhouse. This is the fake search that him and Mark are doing with Tom. Tom doesn't know it's a fake search. For some reason, Mark Lanigan was left out of the movie.
Is there anywhere else? Okay.
He was.
I take it as an my husband and I are kind of famous, and we need to get this done right away.
So she needs to find him really quick on April 3rd, when she calls Tom. She can't find him. She knew he was at the house on Saturday because Callie told her over the phone that he was there, but he went out for a bit. She needed to really find Kurt. He was still alive at this point when she called Tom Grant. I take it back before when I said he was already dead. That was based on Chris's version of events in the book, the second book. Right now, I'm going over this with my research with Mark Lanigan's last album with Skeleton Joe. That's what really pins down when the murder happened. Based on Joe saying Mark Lanigan, then looking into everything Mark Lanigan put out. That's where you get the truth.
And your husband's name?
Are you kidding me?
What?
No. I was about 47 at the time. Ben Plugman, my investigator, was 29.
he immediately knew who they were and what had been going on, even in Rome, just a few weeks earlier. Because it was a holiday, of course, there were very few, if any, other private investigators working. So she went through the yellow pages and she...
Right, there was. And back then, Courtney could have just said, oh, everyone smoked in there and everything. We grow weed in there, whatever.
Found our ad, and I was probably one of many that she called. And I think she was probably surprised to have the phone picked up.
What room number?
It's not very often that a private investigator goes against his client, so I'm sure she regrets hiring me. When we were available to meet Courtney at the Peninsula Hotel, first thing she said, and this is her words, they're not mine.
You leak this to the press, I'll sue the fuck out of you.
So yeah, we know what happened. We've connected basically everything. The only part we're missing is who the other 2 or 3 individuals are exactly. Let me just write this down. All we are missing is who the other 2 or 3 individuals are. ... As well as exactly what happened to Kurt in the basement by Mark Lanigan and Dylan Carlson after Joe left the basement. The outcome of that, we know, was Kurt came out of the basement unconscious and being carried out of the house up into the greenhouse, period. We don't even know if he was injected right then. He could have been injected in the greenhouse, but most likely in the basement because there would have been some kind of wound on him, a wound that, defensive wound or something that would have made it obvious. That's basically all we need to know. And then we've got it all. I probably shouldn't be saying this on a live when people like Courtney kill people. Right. The marks on the neck, like Alan said. Then they could have easily done that and then pumped more of that drug into him, like he said too. Yeah, totally. Like you're dragging a soldier that's been wounded and killed and you're getting them out of the way or something from being hurt more if they're just wounded. Yeah, I hope Chris and Dave are looking into everything that I've put together with Mark Lanigan, the stuff that actually makes sense and is true, like his last album and the book. Some things I've been wrong about and stupid about. But definitely his last album, Skeleton Joe, his autobiography, and the Unsolved Mystery Tips from 1997, and Joe's statements about him being there and what he did see. That tells you what happened. That's the full picture, except for the other individuals that we don't know. Yeah, that's what he said to me. The FBI couldn't find it. You won't find anything, so good luck. Ha ha. The greenhouse has been destroyed. He also said that. And then he blocked me, I think. And then I showed Tom, and Tom said, like, just ignore it. That guy's a clown or whatever. I'm so tired, but I'm still here. But I think Joe said the people were skinny, like not too big. Alan Wrench was kind of a really big guy. Right, it was wiped clean, yeah. There could have been more people involved after that Joe didn't see, right? We're not seeing the whole picture. There's a lot of people in on this murder, though. Holy. He was in the basement when Mark Lanigan slapped him in the face with the heroin kit or something else. That's what Joe said to me on video with Chris. And then Joe said, "What the fuck? What the fuck?" And Kurt said everything was okay and it's fine. And then eventually Joe goes upstairs with Bonnie and Callie. I don't know where Jennifer was. Maybe she's seen it. Yeah, he went up to the greenhouse to check too. Before they left. Oh, wait. After it happened, like probably around 3 or 4 a.m. Or when he was sure they weren't there anymore, you know. It was still kind of dark out, so it would be around that time, 4 or 5 a.m. And he goes up to the greenhouse, and he doesn't go inside of it. He looks through the door, the French doors, the back ones, and he sees Kurt's leg and shoe, and he notices his shoelaces. And then he goes back into the home, really freaked out, and I guess not wanting to admit it around Bonnie and Callie. It seems like Callie knew more. He probably suspected that too. What do you do, especially when the killers might still be in the house? You kind of got to play it safe and then get out of there. You play it safe until you get out of there. You act like nothing's up, nothing's weird, you don't know anything. It sucks that happened and that happened that way, though. But ever since then, it's been basically people just trying to survive themselves and not get hurt as well. And it sucks about the copycat victims. And at the same time, the people that know what happened to Kurt don't want to get hurt either. Like, they don't want to get purposely hurt or hurt by somebody, you know, that's just really crazy or something. Like Courtney. It's a tough situation. It's 11/11 here. Just got to find out who those other 2 or 3 individuals are. That's really what we need to do, because anybody like me talking about this and knowing this could be in danger. So they need to be found and put on blast. We're down to just finding out who the other 2 or 3 people are. Basically.
Well, hello to you. Had nothing on whatsoever.
Short.
Courtney eventually told us that Kurt's credit card actually wasn't stolen, but she had called the credit card company and canceled it so that nobody could use it. She felt that would essentially cut him off from any funds.
I'm sure your husband has another way of getting money.
Are you kidding me? Kurt is helpless. He doesn't have any friends. I mean,
Again, in her words, you don't understand. This guy can't even catch a
fucking cat by himself if he wanted to.
So he went out at night on Easter Sunday, or probably then, or early Monday morning, and came back. It was probably Easter Sunday when he tried to see the movie, right? You'd want to see a movie on like a holiday or something. But then it didn't work, and he got lured back home.
In-house, I mean,
And I just feel like something bad is gonna happen, okay?
in the middle of all this conversation, she keeps talking about how
And obviously, she's setting up a suicide thing before she even does the police report. It's already in her mind.
suicidal he is. Now everybody thinks he's going to commit suicide.
Everybody knows it. Everybody thinks he's gonna die.
Hold on a second.
I actually want to hear Kurt Cobain speak. Just a second.
Really, really good one. I mean, but that's all.
Actually, there's an interview from Toronto with Kurt Cobain, and it was taking place in 1991, and I'm in Toronto right now, so maybe broadcasting this is kind of cool. All right, let's do that. If we can hear it.
A lot of complaints because we're from a small. I don't have a problem with. Yeah, it's really.
Let's see.
I'm glad we're in Canada. I had no idea that we were going to Canada. I expected to come sometime this year on tour, but I just want to pay attention to the itinerary where we're going.
Let's see this one.
First things first, I guess I read the first page of your bio, and you're talking about does that term still apply to music? So, yeah. Well, I think everybody was sort of into punk rock before the band really evolved anyway. So it's definitely everyone was sort of bred on the punk thing. And rock and what did they call it before? Pop sound. That's right. Yeah. Grunge. Seattle. I can't decide. Seattle sub pop grunge. Okay, but see, the sub pop thing wouldn't apply anymore though. Why not? There's still a label. You guys are on sub pop. So we're DGC rock now. We're DGC hardcore. DGC hardcore. Right. And MCA in Europe and Canada. Right. We're MCA. We're MCA here too? We're MCA. Yeah, we are. Okay, now again, like I realize you guys dislike the labels, but I mean it's still a case of, we love people of race, creed, or color, national origin. Brother, we're all here on this floating sphere through space. Okay, but this is a little bit different though, because I think to a certain extent.
See, I guess I had to re-upload that video of Dylan and Mark Lanegan speaking together because somebody deleted it from online. Although I don't really know where to go with this now. We're just down to, again, finding out who the other 2 to 3 people are. And basically how the attack took place in the basement once Joe left the basement. And so I'll keep it like that, so we can remember for anyone that watches this again or watches it for the first time. We're almost there at finding out exactly what happened to Kurt Cobain, whether people want to realize that I have actually connected a lot of dots or not. Some things I've gotten wrong, but I've been correct with the Unsolved Mystery Tips, linking Mark Lanegan and his book and his last album. So, yeah, I'm going to keep digging in the direction of Mark Lanegan to find things that are really revealing, to try to figure out more. Yeah, Callie's dad is the one that demolished it. I think in 1997. before they left. Maybe they didn't want somebody else to examine the greenhouse. All right, I'll end it on that. Good night, everyone. I'll see you tomorrow. Yep, exactly, Chris. That makes a lot of sense. All right, see ya. Good night, everyone. Godspeed.